I hope Corona-Teen is treating you well. I'm sure that when most of you heard that school was canceled for the rest of the year, you were like, so I wanted to talk a little bit today about how you're going to use your time in quarantine and staying home and away from school and other people. For a lot of us, this is basically a once in a lifetime 4 or 5 month break from school, right? We're not going to be completely have our schedules decided by the teachers and the classes that we have. And that's an interesting development for a lot of us because a lot of us skew one way or the other. I can tell you, and me and Hannah are great examples, some of us skew towards we need a schedule. Hannah is a person who needs a schedule. Actually, I can show you an example.
Behold, the hardy. The female of the species cares not about Corona-Teen. She continues to work to beautify her nest. It is a challenge to other females in the neighborhood. She works tirelessly, though it exhausts her.
I, however, am not like that. If you've never noticed, I tend to skip around on projects and I work on a little on this and then a little on that, and I move around and shift around, and it drives Hannah nuts because we're two different kinds of people. But I want to bring something out to you. I think the Bible sets us out a life of balance, and I think that balance is set between work and rest. For a lot of us, I think this chance that we have to be away from school for so long right now, we see it as a chance to completely rest, right? I'm absolutely sure 90% of you have not got up before 12 o'clock in the past month. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I doubt I am, with the exception of a couple of you. But where we see this and we say, oh, this is my time to do absolutely nothing. But you weren't quite designed to do absolutely nothing. And that's kind of interesting, right? God has created you in his own image. And I want you to think about that a little bit. Not because he needed to, but because he wanted to. God created. He created the earth, he created you, he created the entire universe. And when he was done with it, he rested. And that's a word that the Bible describes as Sabbath. And we also were called to engage in Sabbath in Exodus. God said to us, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day shall be a Sabbath to the Lord your God. And he called us to rest just like God rested at the end of his week of creation. But what I think is interesting is that that is in balance, right? God creates. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, record some videos. If you want to build something, build it. If you want to write something, write it. But what I want to kind of ask you not to do is waste your time. And I think we find that in a couple places. Though we might not need to keep to such a rigorous schedule as we have in school, we can find ourselves certain things that we should be doing every day. Spending time in the Word, spending time with our families, things that are worthwhile, things that we can seek out and that will add to us. And then at the end of that, we can truly enjoy rest. We can truly enjoy the Sabbath that God created for us, the thing that he gave us, so that we can rest and relax and know that we have created like God intended for us to create, to show his beauty through the things that we are able to create and do and imagine. So I think there's somebody that is a good example of this. His name is Bezalel. And I know you have so many friends with that name and you don't know which Bezalel I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the one from Exodus. He's somebody I'm sure you've never heard of, but he's spoken to by name by God to Moses. And God has this to say about him. The Lord also spoke to Moses, saying, look, I have appointed by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with God's Spirit, with wisdom, understanding, and ability in every craft to design artistic works in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut gemstones for mounting, to carve wood for work in every craft. I have also selected Aholiab, son of Asamach, of the tribe of Dan, to be with him. I have placed wisdom within every skilled craftsman in order to make all that I have commanded for you. the tent of meeting, the ark of the testimony, the mercy seat that is on top of it, and all the other furnishings of the tent, the table with its utensils, the pure gold lampstand and all its utensils, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offerings with its utensils, the basin with its stand, the specially woven garments, both the holy garments for Aaron the priest and the garments for his son. They must make them according to all I have commanded you. And here's something I think is cool. Imagine your skill, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be physical craft. It could be singing. It could be writing. It could be whatever. But imagine that God had a purpose and a reason for your skill. And he does. And so to let it languish is a lot like the man who fails to do anything with his money in Jesus' parable of the talents. God is angry because he says, you didn't even risk it. You didn't even try. You just buried it and left it alone. And so God has given us talents for a reason. So do not waste your time. Do not waste your life, but spend this time serving others, using your talents for God, doing the things that God would have us do. One last thing. John has been taking my advice and has been bettering himself. Look at this.
The young of the species tries to imitate his father, learning to provide for the family by cooking food for them to eat.